one of those massive gaps is TV ads, streaming ads.
Yep.
And what always comes up is, hey, when do we bring that into our mix? You know, how big of a client? And I think I've shared a little bit of this with you before, but like, if most agencies are focused on, let's call it the lead gen piece.
Mm-hmm.
So the performance marketing, right? Lead gen piece, you know, you add different channels to that. It's all about, the focus is all about let's drive leads. Now that never goes away. You just layer on top of it.
Correct.
As we've said before. And I think what I need and what I'm hoping in this conversation is, I've pitched 2 deals. Well, one I pitched, one a partner pitched, with streaming ads in it as part of the brand marketing process. And it always, and I don't know if it's the wrong people or they don't know what they're asking when they say, yeah, I want to build a brand. That's like the trigger. Yeah, I want to build a brand. Sweet. Well, the reality is you have to kind of build up to that point where you have a maturity level as an owner that says, I'm going to invest money in this because building a brand means changing the way or changing how or making people think certain ways when they hear your name or see your brand. And most of it all gets drowned out in the lead gen part of it. And so I don't know if we're like talking to the wrong level of business, talking to the wrong people, asking the wrong questions. And so I thought, well, maybe if I can get you on here and we can have a conversation about this and have you show me, you know, talk to me about what you see or what you hear and clients you serve, but B, let's take a client and say, you know, let's look at this brand. And if they were at this level, here's how we would evaluate the potential with streaming ads along with, you know, what the other things that we would expect them to be doing at the stage, something like that. I don't know if that works for you, but
no, it does. It does, and it makes sense. Yeah.
I need some sort of asset. Like if you were my marketing team, I would go, you know, we need assets and proof that this works for our salespeople, and proof that they can trust. Like, yeah, we've got the team. Absolutely. So whether it's you pulling the levers or me pulling the levers or someone else pulling the levers, I've got to introduce this to a couple of service teams that I don't run. That's like, we don't yet have a process for adding new services in. So that's where we're at. It's like, how do we add new services into the mix where the service team goes, yeah, we're ready for that. And yeah, that makes sense. I have clients that might be like this.
Absolutely. That's actually a very great topic to talk about, and for so many different reasons. Number one, it's definitely a challenge that we see on our side. So I just want to validate your sort of perspective and what you shared. That is the reality a lot of the times, dealing with either agencies or who are hyper-focused on performance, lead generation, versus any other facet of the business or the marketing funnel, right? And it's understandable. You're running a business, you want to get the leads because the way you get the leads is how you get paid, right? But there's definitely some sort of, I would call it an aura, like some sort of effect for brand awareness and like market for sort of reach, awareness, brand recall. There's so many different channels that you can do that through, right? It's not only TV. There's audio, there's display, there's news. But I just want to take it back a little bit to start from sort of like the first thing that you brought up, right? Is, am I talking to the right people? Before we jump into the where, like what level of the life cycle should you consider programmatic as an agency or as a brand? It's, first of all, it's the mindset, right? When you go in, TV ads will never compete, at least now we're closely getting there. It's not a lead generation like, channel, if you will. TV has always been awareness, as you said, trying to link up the emotions to the brand. So when you see a Geico ad, you think of the Geico, the actual character, ridiculous sort of commercials that don't make sense, but it's memorable. So you connect Geico to this, right? One of my favorite sort of commercials that really stuck, even though it's such a niche market, is Safe Light glass repair. They do some funny ads, and the tune is so nice and it's memorable that if I ever see a cracked window, I'm like, Safe Light.
It's like, yeah.
It's the only it's the only business I know, right? Outside of going to Google and say, scratched glass, what do I do? You're going to think of that brand because you see it on YouTube, you see it on TV, on your Disney Plus account, and so on and so forth. So there's definitely that resonance that maybe small to businesses still don't understand and sort of need the guidance, need the help. So there about, even if you're a local shop, there's still some slice, or like the cake is big enough for you to slice up your brand awareness in those zip codes that you serve. And now we have the technology to get that brand, your brand, on the big screen. 10 years ago, this was impossible. The minimums were 50,000, 100,000 just to get on, right? Now you're able to get on all these channels for a lot cheaper and a lot faster. So yeah, certainly the market has been one of our challenges. You go into an agency, you talk to the decision makers, stakeholders, operation teams, sales new teams, and the first question is usually, okay, so how do we sell this? What do we do here? Usually what we've seen success with is integrating with the current system. You're not going to change for me. I'm going to have to morph myself to you to help you, right? That we've seen a lot of success there. So we don't force the process. We embrace your process and we try to fit it in. So I'll give you an example of an agency of ours. They do automotive advertising, search and social, lead generation, booking calls, and so on and so forth, the usual. And we introduced CTV, display, audio, programmatic advertising in general, the full funnel, to their services. And the way we did it was they sell packages. So they have the premium package for SEO, and I'll build your website, I'll do your search, yada, yada, yada. You pay me $2,000 and so on and so forth. We introduced TV because we're able to do so now in multiple packages. So we said, okay, you want the starter package, you just get your about 50,000 TV ads for $1,500 a month. That's an add-on service that you can attach to your search and social. Why? It complements your brand, it complements the image, and it gets you an audience. Not everybody's looking for your pizzeria right now. Not everybody's looking for your auto shop right now. Not everybody's looking for your HVAC service. But hey, if you're popping up those 5, 6, 8, 10 zip codes or cities that you're servicing on their engaged sort of audience watching TV at night, you might stay just like Safe Light, just like the like Geico, like Liberty Mutual, you stay top of mind, right? Oh, I remember I saw this HVAC company on TV. Maybe we should call them, or maybe we should look them up. So you're opening up a new sort of stream to your search and social to collect those users. Because when I see a TV ad, if there's no QR code, I'm going to go to your website. And if I don't see your website, I'm going to look you up on Google or Instagram or TikTok. So essentially, the conversion usually will happen through that funnel, right?
Right.
So yeah, so I hope I answered a little bit.
No, you're going down the right path. So let's continue down this path. A couple of questions. So for those that are untrained, you mentioned programmatic. You kind of just threw that one out there.
Correct.
Can you just go a little bit deeper on what that is? Everybody knows what a TV commercial is. Everybody has their kind of 1 to 4, 5 streaming services that they buy, which now cost more than cable used to. But you have your streaming services that you watch, whether it's YouTube or Hulu or whatever it is. That you binge your stuff on and you watch, and we all kind of, when we used to drive in cars, we've all heard the radio ads, over and over again when you listen to your station. I listen to a lot of sports. Some people listen to NPR. Or both, or those are just two. But so when you say programmatic, where are these assets, these ads distributed? What does that mean to you?
Absolutely. That's a great question. And another question we get all the time as well is to explain what is programmatic. So programmatic advertising is essentially an auction-based system where a TV provider like a publisher like CNN or CBS, or a display news site like MSNBC.com or Spotify, or any of those ad channels that you can think of, audio, TV, display, they would send out requests for empty ad slots. And that happens programmatically, like an algorithm will essentially say, hello, I have a spot here on the New York Times for a 300 by 250. Who wants to bid? Me, myself, all the other partners that probably want this ad spot will at the same time start bidding and auctioning, right? This all happens in a split second, so I don't want to get into the technicality of it. But the idea is a lot of these TV channels will sell these spots to the highest bidder, right? And that's where we come in as sort of providers that connect to these sources, and then we help brands reach the right auction, the right time, the right placement. That all happens programmatically through certain pipes, and this is what we do essentially, is to manage those pipes in your favor to try and get you the best deal possible and the best auction possible.
So, but help me, so that's kind of how you are able to capture a spot in on a certain platform.
Correct.
What are all the platforms? Just streaming TV, or is it like thousands, hundreds, like what are all the platforms? Is it Meta? Is it like?
Absolutely. So the main ones would be display, would be the original programmatic channel. Display means any of your display banners, the ones you see on websites on the side or on the top.
Right.
Then you have video, so YouTube, pre-roll video, which is essentially video ads that you see when you're watching a news clip on CNN.com. You get an ad before or after. Those are called online video or paid video. And then recently we got streaming TV into this mix, so you're able to do all the transactions same way, auctions on streaming TV. Now we have audio, so you can reach Spotify listeners, Pandora, radio stations, because a lot of the audio is shifting into essentially app-based on your phone or your computer, your podcasts. Yeah. Now we can transact programmatically there and buy ad spots automatically. And the last one, which is also becoming a very big channel, is out-of-home advertising. So classic billboards, train stations, highways, restaurants, residential buildings. Those screens are now becoming more and more sort of, digitized and can be transacted automatically. So think of all these 5 channels that you can reach from the same spot using one dashboard or one access point. That's pretty cool. And when you marry that with search, essentially Google search, and then you marry social media like Meta ads, those are 2 separate systems that live on their own, obviously, and do not interact with the others. So.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. That really gives me the good picture. So now when it's like when our strategists that manage relationships, or when our salespeople are listening to clients that say, okay, we're in this industry, here's the challenges we're having. Most people come to agencies, and specifically our agencies, when they've recognized, hey, we need some help with this stuff. We may have done this with an agency in the past, aren't really having success. Maybe it's a relationship thing, or just performance isn't there. So they tend to come to us with performance in mind. You on the B2C side. On the B2B side, they tend to come to us more with, yeah, it's performance, but we need brand visibility. Now, on the B2C side, we may work with a client to where we get them performing at a certain level and say, hey, I think it's time, if we really, our next place to grow, where we want to grab market share, in this crowded market space, competitive market space, is through some brand awareness campaigns. And this is a little bit different than what we've done in the past because it's not performance. It's about getting brand recognition in the markets you serve so that as people, not everybody who searches or asks a friend who looks online and sees you, Mr. and Mrs. Client, do they go right away, unless it's an emergency type service. I've got a roof that's damaged, I got a plumbing that's leaked, I got to fix my HVAC, all the things that are emergency based, versus if it's more planned, they might do their homework. And when those people are doing their homework, by the way, those people who do their homework tend to spend more money on different services because they value it more. That's when you need brand recognition. Now, like you said earlier, let's say moving and storage, and we'll talk a little bit more about that specific vertical here in a bit, but because I want to have you show me some things in some markets around moving and storage that ties this all together. But you don't run moving and storage campaigns year round. I suppose you could, but in the Pacific Northwest, in this example, most people are thinking about moving and storage, starting in March, because the weather starts getting better. March, April, or, tax return comes around. So every market's different, even in the moving and storage space. So want to talk to you about that coming up. But before we do, let me ask you, you have the technology to run the bidding process, to place the assets on the platforms, to do that. But then with each platform, there's a different form. So television, phone, you mentioned radio, or what is it? Spotify. It's not a commercial for Spotify, but podcast, whatever it is. Each of those take on a different form. And if you don't produce the asset or do the creative or do the copy, so where's the line for you guys? Do you provide that consultative approach to say, hey, this is where the opportunity is? I know you can recognize that. You can help do the research to say, this is where the opportunity is if this is who you're going after. I'm simplifying. But then you have to go, okay, if that's who we're going after, and here's the opportunity, where do we want to invest? The other thing that you have to invest in is the copy and the creative and the form in each of those places that asset's going to be placed, or that ad's going to be placed.
Absolutely.
Do you guys help with that, or do you rely on your agency partners to help with that?
So to answer that question, we usually rely on our agency partners. So we actually provide them with sort of strategic advice, plus I would say specifications that they should follow, right? What's nice about the day and age we're in right now versus, I would say, 10, 15 years ago when we started this, is a lot of the formats are getting sort of consolidated. So, meaning you can essentially use a Facebook video to run on YouTube and streaming TV at the same time, trying to remove those barriers, if you will, where the ad copy becomes a problem. Now we have the tech, not us specifically, but partners of ours, that can merge a lot of the assets that the users create on their own, which is the main access point, obviously, for a lot of the social media posting, to turn that into assets that can run programmatically. Again, what we're seeing is the programmatic industry, from our perspective as software sort of companies, we're more or less morphing into how search and social is being bought and sold to try and complement. So we see, okay, people are used to the Facebook format or the YouTube shorts. If I want to make this brand all of our creative and ad copy to match TV all the time, that's high friction. That business deal is just not going to happen, right? Because they're used to producing their Facebook videos, their Instagram reels, and so on and so forth. But if I can take those assets and repurpose them, on the fly, very easily, using AI tools, I'm able to place on TV very seamlessly. And that's where we see the market shifting right now, right? So luckily, TV, video, book, Instagram is all getting merged together into sort of a singular format. We have that capability now, not within our company, but again, through a lot of our partners, and we can have introduce people to whoever needs that.
Right.
We're going towards that. And then whatever in terms of, for example, I'll give you like a secret we use a lot of the times. Audio tends to be a little bit of a challenge for a lot of small businesses and small agencies, because they're like, I've never done a radio. I know how to do a Facebook post. I know how to do a Facebook image, a video, reel, a carousel, but how do I do audio? And usually what we say is just, if you're doing a video ad, just give us audio. Just take out the audio file from that video ad where you're talking about your service and run that, you know? Now we have Gen AI tools where you can have a host like voice, and you can choose whatever voice you want to produce that audio ad for you, 15 seconds or 30 seconds, and we can run that on video. So the ad copy piece is becoming less and less resistant as we speak. And my sort of just, I don't know, from what I'm seeing in the market and from all sort of the development around us, I would say by the end of the year, we're going to have very easy tools to just go live on TV with a few clicks, very similar to Facebook and Instagram and YouTube.
So you are a little bit more than just a bidding platform. You do provide a little bit more information to the agencies about how to leverage what assets are being produced.
Absolutely.
You don't, but you draw the line at being like, oh, what do we say in this ad, and why, and what's the offer, and what imagery should we use, and what brand elements should we include, and all of those things depending on the platform. So that's what you rely on the agency partners for. So I'm gonna hold the question everybody wants to know to the end, and what I'd like to be able to do, if you have a little bit, is have you pull up the application or the software, and walk me through some questions that you might have in order for us to start using it to look at the potential of a campaign that might be for a live client. We've had this client, we know this industry well. So when you look at ad consultants, just maybe give me a brief of what I'm looking at here.
Absolutely. So what you're looking at is our proprietary platform that we use to connect to multiple sources. So essentially, like we alluded to earlier, we have the capability to connect to multiple advertising channels: audio, TV, display, out-of-home billboards, and YouTube. Essentially the Google stack, as we call it, all the Google tech. And what we've built here is essentially a central point where you can access a lot of this inventory, those channels, and you can activate your campaigns against them. You're able to run plans, so you can forecast just to see what's available in the market, and we'll take a look in a few moments. And then at the same time, pull out reporting and data, including performance, that is shareable with the clients, and you can even give your clients access to see their own data. So we built this with our partners, thinking about local media sales and agencies that have multiple advertisers that need a simplified way, that is not complex, that is a few clicks away from launching a TV ad, an audio ad, a display ad, whatever the clients need. So what we did is, because of experience and sort of working in this industry for a long time now, we eliminated the noise. I like to use that word. There's a lot of different toggles and buttons that not necessarily agencies or advertisers will have the sort of ability to navigate or understand. So what we did is, what is the absolute essential for an advertiser and an agency to launch a TV campaign? And we took that down and we sort of purposed our platform to be that tooling where it's very easy. It's just a few clicks. There's no complexities. So What we're looking at here is our main unified reporting dashboard. This is essentially where you can see the different channels that we are serving, right? So if I zoom in a little bit here, you can see this is where we have our CTV, where we have our online video display. It's what we call omni-channel marketing, right? And this all comes through one source, one platform that we connect to. Next to it, you're seeing Google. So this is where a lot of the YouTube and YouTube TV. We even offer ads on like Amazon, Netflix, and those usually come from these sources. And that gives you the ability to go and place on a premium, very, very premium placements for brand recognition, awareness, and so on and so forth. We have a standalone audio that can reach to different radio stations, different streaming apps, podcast apps, and so on and so forth. And then the last piece is we have our out of home, which is essentially billboards. So you can run on different venues, different types of venues, different billboards, different screens, and that is usually a very good complementary service if you're doing brand awareness, especially if we're able to target zip codes and specific areas. This doesn't have to be a mass campaign. You can do a campaign as small as a zip code and just target the screens or the bus stations or the railway stations in that little. So this is overall what we give our clients access to. The way we like the flow here is just to give the agency client or the client of the agency, the advertiser, from a B2C standpoint, a simplified way to see where your impressions and your ads are actually serving. So you want to know by day, you want to know by channel, you want to know by device, by geo. And so you're able to see here where your campaigns are where they're actually serving. You can filter those dates and start getting some insights.
So just like let's call it Google ads, and you can look at impressions. How many times did your ad show?
Correct. Absolutely.
So before we dive in here, because I want to look at the potential of a campaign in like a real world scenario that you don't know is coming, and I'll just give you some information and let you ask some questions. But before we dive in, what do you think are good indicators that a brand awareness campaign is performing? Now, I know the easy answer, but what truly do you look at to say, wow, this money that you're investing in is making a difference? Is it more searches? Is it more clicks on ads with a QR code? Is it more direct searches? What tends to be those indicators that this is doing well?
So, I mean, the easy answer is usually impressions and reach, right? Frequency. To us, those are the high-level metrics. So this is your first line of defense. These are the basic metrics for any indication. How many ads I served, what kind of reach, how many households have I reached, and how many times have I reached that household on average. Those are the old school TV metrics, right?
So impression is someone actually saw the ad. I mean, it played on a live television.
This was a live television ad, absolutely.
Versus like Google, an impression could be, well, you had an impression, but it was on page 9 and no one saw it.
Correct. This is very different. Absolutely. Okay. Absolutely. This is an ad here for us means fully displayed on their TV screen, the full size, non-skippable. And I want to very much highlight that this is TV cannot be skipped. You cannot skip an ad on TV. So the full messaging has to be delivered. And that's why when it's on CTV, one of the positives of it is very, very high completion rates, which is our second layer of performance and what drives performance. Completion rates, how many impressions or how many ads we delivered, the percentage of completion. With CTV, we expect 95% plus. That means if you run a YouTube campaign using efficient reach or any of the skippable formats, you get a skip button after 5 seconds. That's not the case here in CTV. There's no skip button. You have 30 seconds and an audience deliver your message the way you should deliver it. And you know your brand, you know what's the call to action that works. And this is a good testing ground because technology allows us to rotate multiple ad copies. So if you're a business or agency that's able to do multiple copies, this is a very simple tool to get to see, okay, is creative A the one I'll bring it in conversions, or is it creative B? Which message? Is it the one with the QR or with the QR? This is a tool and a great channel to actually test this because it is fully non-skippable, full screen. And to answer your question around I really like that example, Tony, about search and page 9 and whatnot. Here, we can show you specific channels and which streaming apps you're showing on. So what this means is not only can we control which channel to come on. So, you have a client as an agency that comes in and says, I'm interested only in sports streaming apps like the ESPNs and the Fubos and so on and so forth. That's right. We can bouquet. It's like flower. We can bouquet what flowers we want to bouquet. We can put the roses. You can put the violets. You can put whatever you need based on the content that you want to reach. Obviously, going on sports, others on movies and entertainment. Some others love local news. So we also have that capability to deliver your message, right content that you think is suitable.
So you could also say, well, look, we thought this is where our audience was.
Yep.
But it's not. Or we hit the nail on the head. Let's double down on this audience or something.
Yep.
Tell me about how that works, because that's important as well. Because 100%. You have to go through the process of saying, well, where's our audience? What do we think our audience watches?
Mm-hmm.
Like, for example, if it's moving in storage, maybe it's home and garden TV, HGTV,
That's segue into showing you deeper insights. So we talked about the basic performance metrics, impressions, reach, frequency. The secondary layer would be the VCR, or video completion rates. What were the completion rates of my ad? Did people see the ad in full? So that's your second layer. Your third layer is performance, actual performance. And we measure that right now in 3 different categories, right? Number 1 is web visits. We are able to place a pixel, just like Google Ads, like in your Google Tag Manager, or on your website. If you use WordPress, Shopify, whatever it is that you use, you can place our pixel on the header, and then our pixel will start mapping whoever visits your website and comparing it to whoever we delivered an ad to. And if the IPs and the devices match, then we register for you a conversion. So that's the third layer of how to measure performance outside of the basic metrics, is IP match. So Tony gets an ad for my moving service or storage service, and then Tony visits the website or the TikTok or the Instagram 3-4 days later because he remembered, oh yeah, I remember I saw the ad, let me go check it out. That will register on our side as a conversion because that IP address or that device saw your TV ad before. And that's how we do it, essentially.
Got it.
Yeah.
Okay. Is there, before I ask my last question and we kind of wrap things up here, is there anything else you want to share that we haven't covered up to this point?
No, I mean, this essentially really covers from a high level perspective, the capabilities. The last piece I want to cover real quick is there's a lot of ambiguity on, well, how am I going to deliver? What is the market like? How many people are there? What if I want to deliver this budget to this zip code? Is there enough TV ads? And so we built our tool here with an integrated AI agent that can help answer those questions. So if you know your market and you want to do this sort of the more manual way, if you will, you can research your geography. So I'm just going to use New York City because that's where we are, or where I'm close.
Actually, can we use another place?
Oh, sure. Be a zip code.
Seattle, Washington.
So we'll put it Seattle. So we're going to do city. So now we're going to map Seattle. We're going to pull average. How many impressions do we see on a weekly basis for CTV, for streaming TV, right? So Seattle, for the next week, we forecast about 41 million TV spots available on apps that we reach, right? So this is the first layer for any agency, any client who wants to understand the market they're in. So after that, you're able to choose which channel. Maybe you don't want streaming TV. Maybe you want to run on display. Maybe you want to run on online video. But for this use case, I'm going to focus on streaming TV. But it's the same concept across all channels. So if you look at streaming TV here, it says we have about a weekly audience of 41 million spots. After that, we can define the audiences. So very similar to Google Ads, very similar to Facebook. Do you know your audience? Is it an age? Are we targeting 45 plus, for example? Because if we are, numbers now automatically updated to match the audience that you're looking for. So if you're looking for Seattle, an age 45 plus, we estimate about 17 million available TV spots in that week, right?
I think that's a good way to look at it, because we're thinking about people who are moving, you know, at this time of year.
Absolutely.
And we're not looking for like one bedroom, you know, hey, this is the first time I've moved my bed and my duffel bag because I've been in college or, you know, with a friend's pickup truck. We're looking for people that are moving 3 and 4 bedroom homes.
Yep. So like if you put moving, for example, in this case, our audience is very tiny. So we would need to beef that up, right? And this is why this tool is very important, because you want to understand, am I only looking for moving, or we might need to add more in terms of demographics, ethnicity, income level. It's not only just the label. If you understand your clients correctly, you won't need a specific label. You can build the persona here.
Yeah.
So,
No, I see. When it says this is a pretty low number coming down, okay, so 2 million is what?
2 million is essentially, well, let me reset this here. Let me just reset the audience. So 2 million is right now, if you want to run on a gold list, which is essentially all the streaming apps that we're going to run on, we have about 2 million available impressions on those apps. If you want to expand,
roughly weekly, it says.
Yes, this is on a weekly basis. You can do it on a daily basis as well. If you're running a short flight, as we say, or a short campaign, you can expect about 200,000 impressions monthly and so on and so forth. And then this is where the bouqueting happens. Remember, we talked about roses and violets. This is where we bouquet. Do you want news only? Do you want Spanish language only? Do you want your own specific one? So you can build your own list and say, I only want the sports sections. That's it. I don't want anything except sports. We could do that. So that's the beauty of programmatic, is that you have a lot of buttons. You have a lot of levers that you can push and pull. And if you know your audience and you have a good agency working with you, this channel is a great channel to hone in the audience you want.
Okay. So part of what an agency should be doing for its clients is helping drill down on the ICP with some very specifics.
Correct.
Very specific kinds of attributes that will help this programmatic part really dial it in.
Absolutely. And from my own experience, I'm a big proponent of contextual targeting versus just good old demographics. And that sort of goes back to, you need to test the waters to understand where your audience is. And that's why measuring conversions by content is a very important step. And this is what I wanted to show you here is, I'm shocked, for example, that I am getting X amount of conversions from Pluto TV versus other TV channels. Who knew that I'm getting conversions from CBS versus MTV? That's where you should discover which audience and which content is actually resonating with your ICP.
Right. And so on the website side, or the other, you place pixels at various spots. The website is one place.
Correct.
Like a meta ads or a meta company page, or that kind of thing.
So the pixels are limited to assets you own. So you cannot place a pixel on Facebook or Google because that's their own environment. They won't allow it usually. But you can place it on your blog, on your lead landing page, on your website, on your homepage.
Got it.
Conversions and to build an audience. because we can collect audiences that visit your website and retarget them with TV ads and reach back out to them.
Oh, so on the other, starting from the other direction, if you have that pixel on there, you can start to see that audience and then programmatically do retargeting to them as they go around the Google network or
Correct.
networks.
Or watching TV on Pluto or watching HBO. We can reach out back to them and that audience. So that's a powerful tool, and it's free. So you should use it.
You know, as I'm thinking about that, it's almost like before you create it, if you're generating a ton of inbound traffic, you know, let's say you probably have to be at least 1,000 a month to make mathematical sense.
Correct.
You might want to just start there.
Absolutely. I usually tell my clients, if you have enough traffic on your website and your properties, because a lot of the time it's not the case. So a lot of the time they get 400 or 500 visitors like a month. That's not scalable to reach on TV. But if you're generating, to your point, 1,000 to 5K visits a month, there's definitely a case to be made there, because we collect that audience and we can build lookalikes. So find people that are similar to this behavior to reach.
Similar to how Facebook does it. Correct. You got it.
Correct.
Okay, so here's the question everybody wants to know. And the answer is always, it depends. I will tell you that when people ask our agencies, you know, how much should I be spending on Google ads, or how much should I be spending on Facebook ads? We usually give them a range. And depending on the industry they're in, you know, it could be, there's a fee to the agency to manage all of this stuff for you and build out all this stuff for you. But then there's also the ad spend. This is a similar model as this. So we typically, I mean, depending on the, you know, don't quote me on this, but it's usually about $1,500 a month on ad spend at minimum.
Correct.
And if you've never run ads before, you know, then you tack on, so you might be at $2,500 a month just at the base level. And if you're a business owner and you haven't run that type of play before, it can be shocking. But also you have to realize that other businesses out there might be spending $10,000 a month. So they're just outspending you. So you have to have some minimum level that is going to get you noticed.
Absolutely.
And unfortunately, that's the game.
Absolutely. 100%.
So I imagine it's the same with this.
Yep.
So I always say you're going to be spending bare minimum, probably, I mean, depending on the you know, at least $2,000 a month with ad spend and management fees, at least.
Correct. I would say
more is better, obviously, but
always.
And we may get into it with those platforms and realize, wow, we need more ad spend.
Absolutely. I mean, from our side, I'm not going to give you the usual answer, which is it depends. We actually go with, you hit the nail on the head. We usually go between $1,500 and $2,000 as a starting point for programmatic ads, whether that's streaming TV or audio, whatever it is. And you go up from there, because brand recall and frequency is the name of the game. You want more frequency, you got to spend more. And you'll be shocked at how other businesses are actually using this right now to drive traffic, to drive awareness. And we usually recommend a 3-month minimum, because to your point, if you've never done it before, you need to build consistency. So $1,500 to $2,000 a month over 3 months is your starting point. And then you usually go incremental as you see incremental value and performance. And I do want to touch on that, Tony, if I may, just real quick.
Sure.
I feel like this is like a whole skit that I'm doing, but the fourth performance point that I'm going to talk about, because you know, you have your impressions, you have your frequency, you have your completion rates, level 2, you have your conversions, and you have your traffic, level 3. Level 4 is you start seeing it in your Google Analytics, and you start seeing it in your visits, and you start seeing it in your leads. That's what we call the halo effect of programmatic. Is if TV is not measurable yet, like Google ads or like Google search, usually our clients start seeing within those 3 months an uptick in traffic, organic, and referral. So that would be the fourth layer of how to see performance.
So you call it the halo effect. We call it the flywheel, because it's like, hey, you're out there doing great work. Your crews are delivering great service. You're getting reviews. Reviews are a piece of it.
Yep.
When people then see you out there, they've given you a review, and now they see a commercial maybe on there, they're more likely to refer because they remember.
Absolutely.
Talk about frequency and length of campaign. They're more likely to remember that and refer you out. So it supports that whole flywheel effect of back to the beginning, which is how is my pipeline, my lead pipeline doing? It supports that, and it's that cycle.
100%.
And we've all experienced this with either, an attorney, some different types of businesses that have traditionally gone this route. And now, roofing companies, HVAC, there are some types of businesses that have leveraged this quite successfully.
Oh yeah.
And the thing that I run into or I suspect goes on is business owners go, oh, well, that I can't be on TV. Like we're not that company.
Yes, you are.
I know, right?
You are literally that company.
If you're not, and you want to gain market share, and you're not, this is your opportunity to learn how to do it.
Absolutely.
And it's like everything else. It's not a silver bullet. There's a learning curve process that you go through. Even with experienced players like you and the agencies we have that understand this stuff, your business is different. If you've never done it before, if we've never done it with your business before, we have to learn these things. Absolutely. But the good news is we have partners like you at AdSultans that can help us interpret and work closely with us to help educate. So
100%.
This time we've spent here is a part of that.
Yep. Yep, for sure.
So any questions you have for me, I'm open ears. I know maybe a question is, well, who do you have on the line? But I think it is a matter of educating people on this, because everybody sticks to their comfort zone.
Absolutely.
And at certain levels, with certain levels of clients, I know we have some where they're like, oh, this would be a perfect thing to layer on.
Absolutely.
We just don't know. We just don't know how. And this call has gone a long way to help educating us on that.
Absolutely. I'm glad that was sort of, I'm trying to help educate. I'm trying to help sort of pave the way, if you will, to have more and more people on board, and more people understand what is programmatic and what's behind it. I guess my question to you would be, from your perspective, now that we've dabbled in it and we've been talking about this for a few months, ever since we met last time in Miami, in your mind, if you can sum it up, what do you think is the challenge outside of just education? Do you see anything else coming our way, or do you think it's just a matter of education and matter of, making the curve a little bit more flat?
Yeah, well, outside of education, which is always the first step, it really is getting with agencies who haven't rolled out a new service in a while that can leverage this. And teaching them about it. And it's also, at some point, it's also teaching them how to advertise it, that we're capable of doing this. Typically, that's best done with existing clients and existing relationships where we've built trust and we do have performance going. And the client is like, well, what now? What next?
Absolutely.
How do we take this thing bigger? And if you really don't have clients that, by the way, they're, I would say probably, if you looked at the typical agency that's generating between $1 million and $2 million in revenue, they probably have 10 to 12% of their client base that may be ready for this, but don't know how to introduce it. And before they introduce it, they want to see how it works. They want to understand that they'll be able to deliver it. They want to be able to do a good job for their clients.
Absolutely.
That are ready for it.
Absolutely.
That's even before you start marketing it, right? You usually start with existing clients, and there's always that client's like, yeah, give me more, give me more, give me more.
Yep. Absolutely.
And those are the ones we have to talk to.
100%.
And you have some clients that are, willing to invest, because that's what this is, an investment in something new.
It is.
Although from your perspective, it's not new. It's and it does work. And so we have to see some of those types of things and like, okay, what can we expect if we invest this? Well, tell me where your business is. Tell me what's going on in terms of performance. Why do you think this is the right thing to do?
Mm-hmm.
And they really rely on their strategists, their account strategists to do that.
Yep.
I think those are the people you need to talk to about that. And your service managers that are at your agencies who are responsible for essentially delivering good quality service that gets results for clients and client success.
Yep.
Those people have to get that message that this is an option, and it's a really good option for certain clients who are ready for it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Absolutely. This was definitely eye-opening as well from your side, and I really do appreciate that, those last few points, because you validated what I've been going through for the past couple of years, where it was definitely everybody, at least the good agencies, always used themselves as a guinea pig with us. They would test themselves first and test their own pipes, as we say in the industry, and then after they test the pipes, they offer the pipes to other clients, and usually that's how it works. So you hit the head, and that's literally has been our experience with most of our clients now. So yeah,
that's interesting. So I'm going to share this with we have the weekly Fanning University. I'm also going to try to get this on as a blog and a webinar.
Sure.
An on-demand webinar that we have.
Okay.
So we can see if we can do that. I have to go through, my team now to make that happen, but I think this will be an interesting case. And then also our internal marketing team is probably going to take a look at this. So we'll see where that goes. And, we'll just keep talking.
You got it. We'll keep talking. We'll keep moving forward. And you just let me know how I can help, and happy to do more of these. Happy to do any sort of education, webinars, training sessions. I'm always open, and I'm love to be your, partner moving forward. So I'm excited for this. Perfect.
All right. Thanks, Kareem. I really appreciate it.
Likewise, Tony. Have a good one.
All right, you too. Bye.